Hello everyone, welcome to the Day 5 camp of C programming. In this session, we will be learning about pointers, different kinds of pointers like pointer to pointer, array of pointers, generic pointer, null pointer, and how to represent a matrix using pointers, memory allocations which can be done using pointers, etc. And also we will try to learn structures and related concepts. So without any delay, let's start it. The first topic which we are going to deal with is address in C. So what is basically an address? Let us take, for example, if you have a variable a in your program, this ampersand a will give you its address in the memory. Simply, it gives this is like a AND operator, right? AND of a, okay, give you the address in the memory. If you assign some value to this a, and if you want to find the address of that a, then you can write this operator of a. You will get the answer as like this, some unique address. Okay. What are pointers? Pointers are the special variables which are used in C to store the address rather than the values. Instead of storing values in the variables, we will store the addresses. That's the main theme of pointers. How to represent pointers? Simple. If I take any data type int star pointer name, okay, int star pointer name is the representation of your pointers. Or you can write int star, after that give a space pointer name. Any one of them can be represented as pointers. The main question comes into your mind, why we use pointers in C. Most of them will say that pointers are the most important concept in the C language. What is the use of these pointers? Why we use pointers? Pointers are used in situations when passing actual values is difficult or it's not defined. Okay, when passing, like if we take a specific variable and passing actual value for that specific variable is difficult, or if it is not defined, then we can use pointers. And also, if we define some function and using that function call, if you want to return something, you generally call that function, and you will keep some return function call in your function definition. If you want to return more than one value from a function, then you can use pointers. And also pointers increase the execution speed as well, execution speed of your program. The pointers are more efficient in handling with the data types, whatever the data types, predefined data types we have, like int, char, float, etc. So for these all data types, the pointers are the more efficient in handling them. Okay, and also pointers reduce the length and the complexity of the programs. This is about why we use pointers. Now let us look few programs related to the pointers. Here comes the sample program for pointers. Obviously the header file and having main function inside it, and we have defined a character a which is empty actually initially. And remember, this is your pointer variable, data type space star pointer name. Okay, this is the representation of what? Pointer. And what I am doing, taking the variable pointer b, and I am assigning address of a to this variable b, because directly if you write star b, it doesn't mean that you have created address for some variable. You need to assign some address to that variable. So I'm saying b is equal to ampersand a. Okay, nothing but we are assigning the address of a to pointer b. And here we are seeing all print statements. First, I want to know what is a. That is nothing but percentile c. Since a is a character, we need to write the format specifier as percentile c and print a percentile d for this is address of a. Okay, some unique address. And this is b. What is b? B is nothing but we have assigned the address of a to b, so it will print the address of a. And address of b, address of b is nothing but again that specific address, or b holds some specific value, right? That value will have some unique address, that address will be printed here. And what is star b? So remember, whenever you are using the star b, nothing but the pointer b in printf statement, then that operator is called as a dereference operator if you use it in printf statement. And here we are dealing with the size of a and size of character b using size of predefined command. Now let us execute it. You can check that the error is character is empty. Let us give some character like m. Yeah, you can check here. First we are printing a is nothing but the character which we have given m. Address of a is some unique address. You don't know what is that address. Some unique address will be allocated to that a. So address of a is this one, and b is also same. Why? Because we have clearly mentioned here b is equal to address of a. So b value and address of a is nothing but same, right? And address of b is nothing but at this particular address. For b you have this address value, right? So at this particular address you have some unique address to that b. That unique address is represented by ampersand b, and it is 6487568. Both are not same. Okay. And what is star b? Simply printing whatever the value is there inside it. So using dereference operator we can print the value inside the pointer. And the size of a, size of b. Size of a is percentile d. A is nothing but a single character. Generally for character the byte size is 1. And b holds integer values, so the size is 8. Okay, that is about your program, sample pointer program. Now let us see array pointer. This is the program related to array and pointer. Initially inside the main method, initially we have defined array a, array b, and this is the some random variable I. Okay, and fixed sizes 5 and 5. Definition of a pointer int star p. And what I am doing here, this array a, I am assigning it to pointer p. What I am doing, array a is being assigned to pointer p, and I am printing a value, p value. Similarly, what I am doing in this step, assigning array b is being assigned to pointer p. Okay, and again we are printing what is b, what is p. Okay, let us execute this program. Yeah, you can check that initially a is what, some unique address. And what is p? P is a pointer, so p holds the array, so same address 6475552. Okay, both are same. Why both are same? Because we have assigned a value to the pointer p, and similarly we have done for b as well. B has some unique address and p is equal to b, assigning b value to p, so we are getting the same answer here. Now if we take this statement from comment line, a is equal to b, can we do it? A is an array, b is an array. Can we equate both of those arrays? You will get error. So why? The reason is you cannot update the value of an array. B is some unique array, a is also some unique array. You can't, once you have defined a and b, you can't update them. Okay, that is the main theme here, to show that. That's why you are getting error, assignment to expression with array type. So it is not possible. Assignment to expression with array type. Okay, it is not possible. This is about array and pointers. Let us look into array of pointers. What is array of pointers? Nothing but array, inside array you are having pointers. So initially you can see that I have declared an array A with fixed size 5, and I have initialized some values 11, 25, 33, 45 and 55. And here what I am doing is creating an array pointer. So it is what array pointer. If we write just p, that will become a pointer, right? If we say star p giving some size or giving some limit, then it is an array pointer. Okay, and here we are taking randomly some variables like v1, v2, v3, where we have given the values to them, and some I, random I. So why we are using I, we will get to know. Obviously for iterative variable, nothing but if you use some loops, then obviously you will use I. The first step whatever we have done here is the first index, nothing but the 0th index is been assigned to address of v1. v1 value is 20. It has some unique address. That address is being assigned to pointer array having at 0th index. Pointer array at 0th index. Similarly, what we have done here, v2 has some value and it has some unique address as well. That address is being assigned to the pointer array at first index. Similarly, we have done for v3. v3 has a unique value, and for that unique value you have some unique address, and that address is being assigned to pointer array at second index. Okay, and you need till here it is almost same. We have done using v1, v2 and v3 variables. Now here the third index, nothing but pointer at third index is being assigned to array of 1. Array of 1 is nothing but inside this array 1, 22. Okay, this address is being assigned to the third index of the array pointer. Okay, and this is the last step where we are doing p of 4. Since our size of the pointer is 5, right, we have taken 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and for this we are assigning a value to this pointer. Simply we are assigning a. Okay, and we are printing v1 and v2 address just to know what are those addresses. And in the next step we have taken a for loop. Why we have taken a for loop is, here we have assigned values for each index in the p array. So here we are printing whatever the value stored in that p array. In this step we have assigned all values into the p array. Here we are printing those values whichever assigned inside that p array. Okay, let us check by executing it. Yeah, you can check that. First printf is what is v1 address. It is 6487500, and v2 address is being printed. Since p of 0 is address of v1, address of v1 is nothing but this is address of v1. So obviously p of 0 will be address of v1, and p of 1 will be address of v2. You can check. Okay, how you are getting p1 p2 here using for loop. Okay, inside this for loop we have p of I, right? Nothing but we will get p of 0, p of 1, similarly till p of 4. Okay, so what we have done, address of v1 is nothing but p of 0, that is being printed. Address of v2 is nothing but p of 1, same, it's been printed. And v3 also has some unique address that is being assigned to p of 3, that is being printed. And next is p of 4. P of 4 holds what? Address of array at first index, nothing but index 1. So it also have some unique address and it's been printed. And finally p of 4. P of 4 holds a. A is nothing but array index. Okay, whatever the array you have defined, it has some fixed index, fixed address, right? The array whichever you have defined has some unique address. That address is being printed here. Okay, this is about array of pointers. Let us look into what is null pointer. In the name itself, pointer pointing to null value is nothing but null pointer, right? So this is the main method where we have declared our pointer and assigned some value to that pointer. Nothing but this is a initialization. We have said null, and we are printing what is that value of p. So obviously what you will get the output 0. Null pointer is nothing but points to 0th address. Okay, this is about null pointer. Just we have written here null, and when you declare it as a null, then obviously that value will be 0. This is about null pointer. Next, let us look into generic pointer. So what is generic pointer? Let us understand it using this program. First, inside this we have the main method. Inside the main method, we have defined some void pointer. The pointer name is ptr, and in after that we have assigned a variable a as 10. A holds the value 10, and character ch we have defined saying to be m. And what we have done here, assigning the address of a to the pointer ptr. Assigning the address of a to the pointer ptr. So if you want to print that pointer address, okay, or whatever it may be, I am telling printf star ptr. What is the value of this pointer? Star ptr. What I am doing? Star of int star ptr. This is nothing but typecasting. Remember, in the previous sessions we have discussed, right? If some value is integer, then if you want and if your average value is float value, then you can explicitly specify parenthesis float of sum divided by n to get the average, right? Here also we are doing the same thing. We are doing explicit typecasting. Since our pointer is void, but we want answer as what pointer to be integer, so simply you typecast your void pointer, whatever the pointer which is void, to integer. We are typecasting the pointer is void, right? Simply we are typecasting it to integer by giving this statement star of int star pointer. Okay, and similarly here we have assigned a, right, a address, right? And for the second time we assign the address of character ch. Okay, and to print that pointer, again we do typecasting. Because it is void, we do it here for character star of character star of pointer. This is about your typecasting part. And what is a generic pointer? Generic pointer, how to show the usage of generic pointer by this program. Remember, this void star ptr is called as generic pointer. Okay, it is a special type of pointer, okay, that can be pointed at objects of any data type. You can check, right? We have defined void, and explicitly for any data type, int, character, we can point it to any at objects. We can point at objects of any data type. That is the usage of this generic pointer. This void star ptr is generic pointer. Let us execute it, and you can check that the values are being printed. Star ptr value is 10, and for character we have again assigned it is m. Simply we are printing those values. This is the usage of generic pointer. Now let us see pointer to pointer. Remember, if you want to declare one pointer, you will write star p. This is the declaration of pointer to some address, pointing to some address. If you want to point the pointer to a pointer, then you can write it as star star p, or here we have used q, right? Star star q. This is known as what? This double star is known as pointer pointing to pointer. A pointer pointing to pointer, another pointer, or you can tell. Okay, so first we have declared as single pointer p, and address of a is being stored inside this p. And similarly, pointer to pointer is being created, and address of that this q is being that address of p is being assigned to q. So what we have done, you can check here. First we have created a variable p, and that p holds address of a, q holds address of p. So it is something like a hierarchical manner. Okay, we have three variables: a, pointer p, double pointer q. So what I am doing is p holds address of a and q holds address of p. So clearly you can check that here q is pointing to pointer p and this p is again pointing to a. So it is the clear definition of pointer pointing to pointer. Okay, that is pointer to pointer exact definition. Okay, and we are printing the values of them. What is the value of a and what is the value of pointer p star p? This is what dereference operator. Just now we have gone through it, right? Dereference operator prints the actual value of that pointer whatever we have assigned. And similarly, using dereference operator, we are printing that q. Q is the pointer pointing to pointer. Now let us check it by running. So obviously all you will get is answer is 10, right? Because p holds address of 10. Nothing but if you print star p, then it will print 10. If you print p, then it will print address of 10. But if you print star p, that is a dereference operator, it will print the actual value inside it. So 10 is been printed, and similarly done for q because q holds address of p, right? This is about pointer to pointer. Now let us check with functions related to pointer. It is very simple. We have defined the main method. Inside the main method we have one pointer and we have one variable called as I, and same step again. Address of I is being assigned to p, and here function call add one of p. Nothing but whatever the address is being there is being stored inside this p is being kept inside this argument, and whenever this function is being called, it goes into this function definition. This is function definition. Function definition obviously holds pointer because it stores address, right? And what we are doing for that argument, we are incrementing, or you can say adding one. Incrementing, or you can say adding one. And after that, printing that pointer. So initially that was 10. So after increment, what it happens? Increment is nothing but increasing the value by 1. So 10 plus 1 is nothing but 11. So output you must get 11. Let us check it. And you can check that 11. It is very simple. Using functions, we are doing a simple step. The first step is creating the pointer inside the main method. You can check. And we are calling the function and doing some definition, doing some logic or applying some logic in the function definition, so that we are checking whether that pointer is being changing or not. Okay, is it changing or is the constant value is being printed or not? For that purpose we are checking this pointers functions. Okay, now let us go into string pointers. Similarly, we have created a char string, star string. Okay, it is a pointer, right? Hello, and we have created an array, string array. Okay, it is like an array. Stores the value world and char star s of 3. This is a pointer array. Okay, s of 3, which has 3 values because the size is 3. You have 3 values, and we are printing each of these strings. First we are printing str. What is str? Obviously it will be hello. And what is str1? str1 is nothing but world. What is s of 0? S of 0 is hello. S of 1 is India. And s of 2 is computer. Okay, this is the usage of pointers inside this strings. So you can check that from there are many applications where you can use your pointers. You can use them in strings, arrays, functions, etc. Okay, let us execute it. Yeah, you can check it. Hello, the string is hello and string 1 is world. S of 0 is also hello only, it's been printed. S of 1 India, S of 2 computer. This is the usage of pointers. Now let us look into matrix pointer. Here simply you know right how to print a matrix. First step is you need to read the matrix and you need to print the matrix. So here we have given 2D matrix which the size of it is 3 by 3 or order is 3 by 3 and there are 9 values inside it. We are declaring two iterative variables I and j. We have created a pointer to pointer, we have created a pointer array or array of pointers. Okay, we have created pointer to pointer, we have created pointer array. And the next step is assigning the values. We are assigning the we are assigning the array values to the pointer array slots, or you can say indexes. Okay, inside that indexes, like we have created this array, right? A of 0, what is A of 0? It is been stored inside this P of 0, and A of 1 being stored in P of 1, A of 2 stored in P of 2. Now after that we are assigning the P, nothing but the pointer P to Q. So if we write this step, this indicates pointer is pointing to pointer. Okay, this step indicates just now we have seen in pointer to pointer, right? Q is been assigned to P. Similarly we are doing here, Q is equal to P. That indicates pointer is being assigned to pointer, nothing but it's like a double pointer, and printing up the elements in the array. The array elements are, since we have two iterative variables I and j, taking the first for loop for I till 3 because the size is 3, right? And for j it's also 3, so till 3 we are printing what? P of I j. That is a 2D array. We are printing P of I, P of I and j. So after printing each and every column, you need to enter into a new line. That's why we have kept a printf statement \n. And after end of this for loop, we are printing the values inside the array. Okay, array of 0, array of 1, array of 2. So this is a 1D array, one dimensional array. Let us execute this program. Yeah, you can check that the array elements 11, 22, 33 are being printed, and what is A of 0, A of 1, A of 2, it means that it has some addresses. They are the addresses, and this is about using matrix pointers. Okay, these are few basic programs related to pointers. Let us go into the theoretical part. Memory allocation, which is the most important point in pointers. What is memory allocation? Allocating a specific memory. Suppose if you are performing some operation, and if that operation has some operands, okay, then those operands must be stored somewhere in your device. So where those values are being stored in the memory. Okay, so memory in arrays, if we check, we can only fix a certain memory. Suppose if we write A of 5, then only you can insert 5 elements. You can't insert more than 5 elements. That implies memory is being allocated till 5. Okay, so what is memory allocation is being said just now. There are two types of memory allocation: static memory allocation and dynamic memory allocation. Static memory allocation is nothing but allocation of memory at compile time, and dynamic memory allocation is nothing but allocating the memory at runtime. So basically, let us take an example, right? Just now I said if we have an array of fixed size 5, and if you want to insert A of 5, A of 5 is nothing but there is nothing like a of 5. Only till 4 you will be having. A of 5 is nothing but you will have 0, 1, 2, 3 and 4. 5 elements, right? A of 5 is not there. So if you assign some value to that A of 5, then you will get an error. Where you will get that error? While compiling or while running? Obviously, when you compile it, you will get the error. So to stop getting that error, okay, to stop getting that error, nothing but to redefine the size of the array, you need to do something. Okay, so for that we use dynamic memory allocation. Let us look in depth what is dynamic memory allocation. If we have an array of fixed size 60, let us say there are 60 students in a class. Suppose there are two more students who needs to join inside that class, then obviously the size must be increased. There is no place actually in the class. So how you can give extra space to those two more students? So how can you allocate space for them? Okay, that is a big question. So the answer for that statement is dynamic memory allocation. Allocating the space at runtime. While running, the space is being allocated, not while compiling. While running only, we are allocating the space. While compiling, you will get an error, compile time errors, right? But here we are allocating the space at runtime. That is called as dynamic memory allocation. Allocating the space at runtime is called dynamic memory allocation. So there are 4 types of memory allocations, that is dynamic memory allocations. First one is malloc, which is nothing but memory allocation. So how you can allocate the memory at runtime? The code is return type. Generally we use void and pointer. Malloc is the predefined one. Inside parenthesis you are writing size, int size in bytes. So give the size of memory you want to allocate. That means int size in bytes. Okay. Obviously size will be in integer, right? That's why we used int size in bytes. What is calloc? Calloc is nothing but contiguous allocation. Contiguous allocation is nothing but next after the another. Okay. Suppose if you have 2 slots, first you fill the first slot and then you fill the second slot in that way. That is called as a contiguous allocation. So what is the basic syntax for it? Void star calloc, same like malloc we have here calloc, and after that int number of blocks. Number of blocks is nothing but like how many slots are there in your memory, and int size in bytes, the total size which you want, which you have in your array. So in simple words you can say that calloc function in C is used to allocate a specified amount of memory and then initialize it to 0. Allocate a specified amount of memory and then initialize it to 0. Okay, you can check that right here. The function will return a void pointer to the memory allocation. Okay, this is about calloc, and realloc is nothing but reallocation. The name itself indicates again allocating the memory freshly. So you can check that it's nothing but realloc is nothing but it's like a resizing. Okay, suppose you have a block of memory which was allocated previously. If you want to resize that memory, okay, resize that block of memory, then you can use this realloc. The simple syntax is void star realloc. You have 2 arguments here, pointer to the old location, whatever the pointer which is pointing to your old allocation, and size. So you can check that int size is common in all of them. This is about reallocation. What is free? Free is nothing but deallocation. In simple terms, you can say that it allows you to release or deallocate the memory blocks. Okay. Suppose previously you have written malloc, calloc, realloc, any one of them you have written functions. If you want to deallocate or release the memory, then you can use free function. it in simple terms, it frees up the memory blocks, and it returns the memory to your heap area, whatever the heap the memory is placed in the heap, right? Basically, right, there are two types of memory areas: heap memory and SCP, string constant pool memory, etc. Okay, in that way it frees up the memory blocks and returns the memory to the heap. You can check the syntax for it, right? Void free, whatever the pointer to your dynamic memory is there, you need to write here the pointer which you have defined. So this is about dynamic memory allocation. Let us look into the programs related to it using malloc. Okay, initially we have defined pointer p, and I want some variable n and two iterative variables I comma j. You can check the first is the input statement, enter the value and scan that value into variable n. And this is the very important statement. You are doing memory allocation. Memory allocation. Same syntax, return type or whatever the pointer, int star malloc of n star size of int. So why you have taken n? N is your value, okay, and multiplying that value with your size. So what we are doing is, here you can tell it as a, if you write 2, you are doubling the size of your memory. Suppose, let us say, right, just now we have taken an example. Class has 60 students. If 2 more students are there to join, then what we are doing using memory allocation is, we are specifying the user to enter some value, and that value is being multiplied with your fixed value whatever you have originally. Okay, nothing but if you take 2, your memory is being doubled, so that it gives some more extra space. So in case if there are just now we have taken 2 students, right? If there are more 10 students to join, then it makes easier, right? You have the memory almost 16 60, 60 plus 60, which is 120. Okay, that is the use of this memory allocation. And obviously entering the array elements, scan using scan for loop and scanf, we are scanning those elements. Okay, and printing the array elements. This is reading the array elements, printing the array elements. Okay, so what I said, if you directly print p or p plus I, why we have used p plus I is I was initially 0, right? That's why from 1 you want, right? And how to print the pointer variables using dereference. Okay, dereference operator, nothing but star. So we have used star of p plus I. This is the story of printing your elements and free of p. So as I have used a memory allocation function, we are deallocating the space at pointer p. Okay, or free releasing the space. And finally we are using a return statement, return 0, and let us compile it. Let us say I want the value to be 2 and enter the array elements. So till 2, right? Let us write, give some big size 5 and enter the array elements. You need to enter 5 elements. Let me tell 1 2 3 4 and 5. Yeah, you can check the array elements are 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so this is simply printing those statements, taking the number of elements and printing those statements. Now let us check one more example. If I give 5 elements and 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10, I have given 10 elements. Let me say if I given 9 elements. So what happened here? For the remaining elements, there is no space. So only the array elements which are there inside till that particular n value are being printed. Only we have mentioned here n, right? So n is nothing but till that specific index or till that specific size, the elements must be printed. That is the use of this n and printing them. Let us look into calloc. Calloc is contiguous memory allocation. Okay, Here you can check we have used the standard library function stdlib.h. Actually, this is very important. While basically in Dev C++ or in some ideal by default all the functions will be taken library functions, but while you are using these memory allocations like malloc alloc, okay, while memory allocations while using memory allocations you need to mention what, mention standard library function, okay, which is very important. Next, so enter the value, scan that value into n. This is a basic statement. Initially we have created a pointer and the size, two iterative variables. Now here we have used calloc. So for calloc the syntax is what, number of blocks comma size of your array or size of your whatever you have defined the pointer, okay. So int star calloc of n comma size of int, and obviously entering the elements, enter your array elements, enter your array elements, print your array elements. Now what we have done here is n is added for 5 more elements, n is equal to n plus 5. Now n holds 5 more elements. So dynamic memory redefined to new size, nothing but we have changed the size, nothing but we are telling the compiler to add 5 more elements. It means that you need to reallocate some more size. So I am using what, realloc function, using realloc function. So now this p must hold realloc of p comma n star. N now holds what, 5 more elements, right? So n star size of int. And now you can print your array elements, whatever you have, the more array elements, right? And this is freeing up or deallocating the space. Let us check it by executing. You can know it more clearly. I'm giving some size to be 5, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Yeah, you can check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is being printed. And you have what we have done after this till the statement, it's clear, right? Same like before program, but we have used calloc. What we are doing is we are incrementing n to 5, nothing but give a space to add 5 more elements, nothing but you will get 5 more elements here. So you can see 5 more elements having some unique number are being printed. And using realloc function, what we are doing, we are giving extra size, nothing but we are giving extra size to our array. Suppose here the unique addresses are being displayed, right? Let us say, right, like give size to be 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and the size is still 5 itself, right? So these all elements will not be considered. 1, 3, 4, 5 and remaining space for those remaining elements. Okay. So what is the use of realloc? We have explicitly given here to increase or to give a space in order to add 5 more elements. And we are using here realloc function, that is p comma n stars size of your array, and the array elements are being printed here. Here what happens, extra elements are also printed, extra elements in the array. What are those extra elements? Extra 5 elements, whatever you have done here, n is equal to n plus 5 with some unique values, nothing but they are some ASCII values, okay, are being printed and freeing up, releasing the space here. This is about calloc, contiguous memory allocation. You have seen all of them, right? In this program we have seen malloc, memory allocation, and also free function. Here also we have used contiguous allocation and how to reallocate. So before reallocating you need to explicitly mention something, right? Do you want to increase your size of your n? Okay, that's why we have increased, let me say, for 5 elements, and writing a realloc function which is being assigned to this pointer p, and printing the array elements. So here we have printed the array elements, we got only 5 elements, but here we got 10 elements, 5 plus 5. Okay, here we got 10 elements. This is about memory allocations, dynamic memory allocations, and pointers concept. Okay, that's it for today, guys. Let's meet tomorrow again. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe, and don't forget to fill the attendance form, which is posted in the chat box and even in the description. Join all our groups, all the links provided in the description below. Thank you.